And you can make infinitely more money with finding out what excites people than you can ever make explaining a motorcycle to somebody on your showroom floor. Most people just don't, they won't take the time to learn how to establish relationships with people, so they have no choice. The default is, you're interested in this widget, let me tell you about this widget. And so I tell you about this widget. And I try to be polite, and I try to be funny, and I try to be kind. I try to be all those things to you, and invariably, you're gonna buy it from somewhere. You might buy it from me, but it wasn't me. You're not buying me, you're buying it. You just happen to be buying it from a polite clerk. At the point where you're buying me, I can go to any brand or any dealership or anywhere in the country, and I will be your first phone call. That's when that business follows you. That's when you have so much repeat and referral business, you can't possibly pick your head up to look at the front door. Think about that for a minute. Life gets really good when you're so flooded with business. It's a problem. That's a good problem. It is a problem. It needs, you got to figure out a way how to deal with that problem. But I think most people would rather have that as a problem than how am I going to make the minimum number of bike sales this month. Tommy.
I'm Tommy. I'm from Village Motorcycles in Scottsdale. We kind of steadily stopped selling, but now we earn friends through personal relationships and exceptional experiences. I think that's what you're looking for.
Some version of that.
But yeah, I've been in the industry about 12 years now. I started because they couldn't kick me out of the shop, so we decided to hire me.
It's what? So they had to hire you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about sales as a transfer of enthusiasm. You see Tommy on the showroom floor. It pours out of him, right? You're drawn. You ever notice how if you go to a party or some event, you're drawn to certain people and you're repelled by other people, right? Who are you? Are you the person? Are you magnetic? I always called it attractive. Are you attractive? And I don't mean physically attractive. I mean, are you magnetic? Do you pull people in? Are they drawn to you? Tommy's one of the kind of people that you're drawn to when you walk into the showroom floor. There are other people that you're like, oh, don't talk to that dude, right? And usually that dude doesn't even know he's doing it. You had a guy at the parts counter who was that way when I was there last, just like, man, that guy's pissed off. Whether he was or he wasn't was irrelevant. My perception was that he was pissed off, therefore I'm not gonna go talk to him. And then you had the indifferent people, right? Typically have 3 levels of people walking around. The magnetic people that don't go talk to that person, and then just they're there kind of people. But if sales is a transfer of enthusiasm, who are you drawn to? You're drawn to people who are jacked up. I mentioned before in the intros, I said it pretty quietly, that's the hardest part of the job. It's easy when you're new and you're full of excitement. You're like, I can't believe I get to work here. And then all of a sudden year 2 rolls around or month 6 rolls around, and I have to ask you the question, do you remember when pushing bikes out front was really cool? Right? You used to think it was really awesome to do that. And now I push these damn bikes out there. You lose it, right? And the customer feels it when they walk in the door. So it's a matter of finding the trigger, finding the switch to turn you back on every single time. Do you think Disney just happens to hire the nicest, happiest people in the world? Or do you think they're trained? There's a concept inside of Disney World, which is on stage and backstage. There are conversations that happen backstage that never happen on stage, because when we're on stage, there's a show to be produced. Gang, when you work in want-based retailing, there's a show to be produced. It's a want-based emotional show. I hope it's very sincere. I hope you really do want to bring people in. It can't just be a production for the sake of a production. But there are things you would never talk about. When you say stage, I always think of Broadway. Right? And there are things that you would never hear said on stage, as opposed to that's conversation for backstage. But in the motorcycle showroom floor, it's like nothing's off limit. We talk about everything on the floor. Why do you do that? Well, if it's a production, take the stuff that's not relevant to the production and have that conversation backstage. You'll never hear an actor on stage say, hey, who's got my part for Thursday? Who's coming on Thursday to take my part? They'd never break character and have that conversation, but how often you hear on the showroom floor, when's Mike coming in? Who's covering on Thursday? All the time. And you just broke the show. You don't realize it's a show. It's an emotional show for the customer coming in the door, and the second you break character, you broke the show. There's a chink in it, and it takes a turn south. Javier.
Well, my name's Javier. I work at Quick Commerce Motorsports. I've been there 11 years. I didn't ride a bike ever before that. And I've been running service departments for the last 20 years of my life.
How's it working?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah? You like it? Not many people can make that leap from service to sales.
My president people, so it's pretty.
Makes me wonder how you were as a service person. By the way, for all service people in here, Adam, especially service managers, look, at the end of the day, when you go to the doctor and you're sick, like somebody checks you in and somebody takes your blood pressure and all that, but who do you really want to talk to? The doctor. And what do you want the doctor to tell you? It's going to be fine. We see this all the time. You're going to be just fine. Right? And if there's anything I could tell service people in the room, please work on your bedside manner. Please don't tell me this is broken, and this is how we're going to fix it. Right? How do people feel about their bikes? They love them like they're kids. If I'm going to take my kid to the doctor's office, number one, I'm not shopping for the cheapest doctor. Start with that. When you think about your labor rate, oh, I don't want to be higher than the next guy. Yeah, you do. You want to be I take my kid to the highest damn doctor. That's my kid you're talking about. I'll find money to pay for the best damn doctor in town. That's number one. And number two, when my kid's coughing and I give my kid to you, what do I want to hear from you? Your kid's going to be just fine. We see this all the time. We got it handled. You're in good hands. We're going to have this knocked out, no problem. Don't just say, well, your kid's broken. Look at, she's jaundiced too. Bedside manner for the service department. Casey.
My name's Casey Campbell, work at Bridgeport Motorsports in Caldwell, Idaho. Been in the industry about 15 years. I do a lot of flat track racing. My daughter, I got 2 daughters who race with me.
God love you, dude.
Did parts and service for probably about 12 years, and then couldn't get a raise, couldn't make more money, so I decided to make the leap into sales, and now I'm a lead sales guy over there. Real good. I love it. I don't like to think that I sell anything. I like to think that everything comes true. I mean, you got a 30 or 40-year-old man falling, you can buy and buy, that's what I like to do.
Awesome. So where do you think that reputation of sales comes from? Because you're not the only person that says, I don't like to call myself a salesperson. First, I hope everybody in the room believes you're a salesperson. Because everything you do in life is selling. Getting your kid to go to bed is selling. Getting the person to let you merge into traffic is selling. Getting the girl to go on a date with you is selling. Getting the employer to hire you is selling. Everything is selling. So I hope you all believe you're a salesperson, but where does that stigma come from?
Just kind of the way that I've been raised, within my family, my roots and stuff. I was always taught, you treat it how you want to treat it, And, Feldman already got a bad name. Like I said, think of the business, and I talk with,
Got to change everybody's definition of sales. It's transfer of enthusiasm. As opposed to, here's something you don't need, don't want, can't afford, and I'm going to shove it down your throat. Because somebody's had that perception, right? Somebody's been taken by a salesperson. Whether it's you or your mom or your brother, somebody you know has ended up with something that they didn't want to buy and that wasn't the right thing, and it's because somebody got a hold of them. But you sit here and you're like, somebody got a hold of them. That sounds very victim mode. Weren't they in control? Weren't they in charge? Couldn't they have said no? Somebody hold a gun to their head? Because the other side of the fence is some guy who figured out human beings and realized it's so damn easy to get you to do anything I want you to do once I realize how easy it is. Now, did he take it too far and manipulate the circumstances? Yes. I've always believed in a phrase, and I want you to write it down, called sales that wear well. Sales that wear well. And a sale that wears well is one that's appropriate for the person. You do it with integrity. I don't need to sell you something that you don't need, that you don't want, that you're not excited about, that's the wrong one.
Tailor it to that person.
Completely tailored to the individual, right? But one of the greatest things about motorcycling is that it'll literally change someone's life. And I think we've all seen it. You literally can change someone's life. I've seen more marriages saved by people buying a Harley than failed by people buying a Harley. Because all of a sudden the wife is on the back and they're spending more time together and they're going poking around together, right? Don't buy the helmet communicators. What's that, honey?
That's fine for the wrong reason.
Sales that wear well. Huh?
I got seals and stuff now, so careful them off.
Yes. But I think you get my point. It truly is easy to get somebody to do what you want them to do. Whether it's the front desk lady upgrading you to another room, whether it's a flight attendant, whether it's the cab driver, whether it's really easy once you understand human behavior. That's very powerful once you get that. And you can put yourself in a position of sending somebody home with something that's not appropriate just because you need to move it. Make sure it's a sale that wears well. Make sure it's the right thing to do. But that perception of sales, you're not the only one that has it. Which is why I want to completely eradicate that from the guy's head when he walks in the door. How do I do that? Talk to you about you. Right? You said Idaho? How'd you end up in Idaho?
Been there for, left at 13, was living in Vegas, born and raised in Vegas, and moved up here, got a job, and ever since, so.
That's a little bit of a culture shift. Vegas to Idaho. It's awesome. And 3 girls?
3 girls.
How old?